Hi, class. So we're going to continue today with the second part of the lesson, cities and civilizations. So let me open up this. So this is part 2 of the lesson, cities and civilizations. Okay? So early civilizations. The earliest civilizations rose in 4 fertile river valleys in Asia and northeastern Africa. Remember that always the civilizations, they rise near the water. The first to emerge were the city-states of Sumer in the region we call Mesopotamia. The river valley civilizations were Egypt by the Nile River. You're going to see that all of them are near the water. Mesopotamia, which was between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers, the Hindu Valley by the Hindu River, and China by the Yangtze River, always near the water. So you can see here the different civilizations. We have Egypt right over here near the Nile River. We have Mesopotamia right here in yellow between the Tigris and the Euphrates River. We have the Hindu civilization right by the Hindu River and the Chinese civilization right here by the Yangtze River. Okay, so you can study this map because it makes it very clear where these 4 early civilizations rose, the river valley civilizations. So we're going to talk about the rise of civilizations. As early cities grew in size and power, some of them became centers of civilization. A civilization is a complex society that has cities, a well-organized government, and workers with specialized job skills. The word civilization comes from the Latin word civis, meaning residents of a city. And once again, we have the map here of the 4 river valley civilizations: Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Hindu, and the Chinese. The importance of resources. The rise of early civilizations depended on the creation of a food surplus. Creating that surplus in turn depended on the ability of people to manage their resources well. A resource is a supply of something that can be used as needed. And a surplus is when you have an excess of these resources. The most important resources that people needed were fertile soil, fresh water, and seeds. However, these resources were worth little if people could not provide the labor and tools needed to produce enough food. Managing these resources well required a level of planning and organization that marked a new stage in human society. So here we can see fertile soil, water, and seeds, which were the beginning of everything. The settings of an early civilization. Like the earliest villages, the earliest civilization also appeared in southwestern Asia in the city-state of Sumer, the Sumerian civilization. In time, other civilizations appeared in the fertile valleys surrounding major rivers: the Nile in northeastern Africa, the Tigris and Euphrates in Southwest Asia, the Indus in South Asia, and the One River in China. River valleys provided a good setting for permanent settlements. Each year, the rivers rose and flooded the nearby land. When the flood water went down, a fresh layer of fertile soil remained that farmers could use to grow crops. So after the heavy rains, once the level of the water went down, the soil was just perfect for seeding and for planting. Not all early civilizations began in river valleys, however. Greek civilization, for example, emerged on a rocky peninsula in southeastern Europe and a series of islands in the eastern Mediterranean Sea. The Maya civilization started in the rainforest of present-day Mexico and Central America. And the Inca civilization began in the Andes Mountains of South America. So we can see here the maps of the Greek civilization in the Mediterranean Sea, the Maya civilization, which we're very familiar and acquainted with in the Yucatan Peninsula and Central America, and the Inca civilization in the coast of the Pacific and the mountains of Peru. So we're going to see the features of civilization. The civilization that arose in different parts of the world differed in many ways, but still all of them had certain things in common. So early civilizations shared 8 basic features, and this is very important, guys. So these are the 8 features: cities, organized governments, established religion, job specialization, social classes, public works, art and architecture, and a system of writing. So here we have the 8 features of civilizations: cities, well-organized government, established religion, job specialization, social classes, public works, arts and architecture, and writing. Let's see each one of them. So cities. The first of these features was cities. Early cities emerged near farming centers. As food surpluses led to rapid population growth, villages grew into cities. They served as centers of religion, government, and culture. A few ancient population centers, such as Damascus in Syria, are still major cities today. You can see Syria over here. This is Damascus, the capital. It's really not a great picture because of all the things that have been going on in Syria in the past few years, where there has been a civil war and the city has been completely destroyed. And unfortunately, many ancient temples and ancient structures, which are absolutely beautiful, got destroyed in that civil war. Okay, another feature is organized governments. So the second feature of early civilizations was a well-organized government. One role of government is managing society's resources so that people get those things they need to survive. A strong government can also form and train an army to defend a society from attack or to expand its borders. As populations grew, governments became more difficult. Rulers came to rely on large numbers of public officials who handled different duties. So we have here a picture of a system of government with many participants. So these are like aides and secretaries. Each one had a different function within the role of government over here. The third common feature of civilization was an established religion or a set of shared beliefs about supernatural powers that created and ruled the world. Religion was often linked to government. Rulers of early civilization usually claimed that their right to rule came from the gods. In China, for example, emperors were called the sons of heaven. In most early civilizations, people believed in many gods and goddesses that controlled most events in their lives. People fear their gods, but also hope that the gods would protect them from harm. To keep their gods and goddesses happy, priests offered sacrifices and led prayers. From earliest times, religion included beliefs about life after death. People looked to their religion for rules about how to treat one another and how to live moral lives. So look here as an example, the Egyptians' gods and goddesses, because they had many gods and goddesses. So early in Egyptian history, towns and villages had their own patron gods and goddesses who they believed protected them. Early Egyptian gods were often depicted as people with human bodies, but with the heads of animals. All Egyptian people worshipped certain principal gods, such as the god Re and the falcon god Horus, who was the god of the sky. Eventually, all of ancient Egypt would come to worship in several principal gods and goddesses. And this happened with many ancient civilizations. They had what we call a pantheon, which is many representations of gods and goddesses. Job specialization was a fourth feature that was common to civilizations. Most people in early civilizations were farmers. They produced enough food to support many kinds of specialized workers, such as priests, rulers, soldiers, craft workers, and others. Priests specialized in religious activities. Rulers and soldiers specialized in keeping order in a society and protecting it from the outside threats. Skilled craft workers specialized in producing goods. Traders and merchants specialized in buying and selling goods. So job specialization allowed people within a society to develop the many skills and talents needed to create and maintain civilization. So for example, here we have a group of specialized workers carving stone and doing general crafts. Here we have the army, and here we have the priests that specialized in everything that have to do with religious activities. A fifth feature of early civilizations was a system of social classes. Social classes are groups of people that occupy different ranks or level in society. Class structures resemble pyramids, with the smallest number of people at the top and the largest number of people at the bottom. The highest social class in most early societies was made up of priests and rulers. The people at these ranks had the most power and wealth. The social classes in the middle included farmers, merchants, and skilled workers. Members of these classes varied in wealth and status from one society to another. In many societies, slaves made up the lowest class. Slaves were often prisoners captured in war or poor people who sold themselves to pay their debt. Unfortunately, this system of classes hasn't really changed much throughout history because to this day, we still have social classes in our society. So here we have like a pyramid of what the social society was divided in ancient Egypt. On the top, we have the pharaoh, which were considered the sons of God. Then we have the government officials, nobles and priests, then the soldiers, then the scribes, which were very important because they were the ones that kept track of everything in a written form. Then we have the merchants, then the artisans, then the farmers, and at the bottom of the pyramid, we have the slaves and the servants. Public works were a sixth feature of civilization. Governments organized workers to build large-scale projects such as roads, water systems, city walls, and granaries where the food was stored after harvesting. Building these public works was costly, time-consuming, and often dangerous. Often workers were injured or killed when they were building these public buildings. Still, public works benefited the society as a whole. We can see here in the picture the famous Roman aqueducts that provided water, and they took it everywhere around the city. And also here from ancient Rome, we can see the roads, which they were very famous for because they were the first ones to build very, very large roads. And later on in the course, we're going to be studying the Roman society, the ancient Roman society, and we will see all about their public works, which was quite amazing. Architecture was closely related to public works. Early people built and decorated magnificent temples, tombs, and palaces. Many of these buildings served a public function, but they were also objects of beauty. Early civilizations developed other forms of art as well. Skilled craft workers also produced fine luxury items for the upper classes, such as gold jewelry and perfume boxes. Music and literature, too, enriched the life of early people and became a marked advanced civilization. We can see here this temple, which is a magnificent work of art. And we can see this other temple here, which is a Greek temple. And they were absolutely incredible works of art, all these public buildings, all this public architecture. The final common feature of civilization was a system of writing. Forms of writing varied from picture writing to symbols representing sounds and letters. In some early societies, writing was first developed mainly to record numbers, such as the amounts of grain harvested. Eventually, however, people used writing to preserve all kinds of information. They recorded laws, wrote down prayers to the gods, and described the mighty deeds of the rulers. Historians have learned much about early civilization from written records that have been left behind. With the development of writing, we pass from prehistory to recorded history. And that is something that you guys already know, that the difference between prehistory and history is that history begins when writing skills develop. So let's review the 8 features of civilization. We have cities, arts and architecture, public works, writing, job specialization, complex religions, social classes, and well-organized central governments. So you got to take notes about all of this because it's very important. And I will see you guys on our next video class. Thank you for watching.